probably starting with a soft one for you. If Jesus cares, then why is our world falling apart?
Well, it's not a soft one, but it's a good one, because when you look at the circumstances of your life, when you look at the reality of our world, it might seem on the surface, well, does God care? I mean, like the disciples in the boat, does God care when we go through these things? And in many ways, it would be easy to take these things as evidence that he doesn't. And I think what we've been trying to say through this week is actually God takes seriously the brokenness of our world. And the storyline of the Bible, although it doesn't give us explicit answers to every single question we could ask, it does give us a framework in which we can kind of understand our experience of life. And the framework says the world we live in is not the way it once was. So it's not that God created a world with chaos and disorder. The world has become that way. And ultimately it's become that way because people have become disconnected from the God who created it. And we see the symptoms of that in so many different ways. But although the world is not the way it once was, it's not the way it one day will be. And the Bible says one day God's going to put this broken world right. And there's a beautiful bit in a book in the New Testament called Romans chapter 8, where it says the present creation is groaning in the pains of childbirth. That's a really interesting analogy, isn't it? Because if you were to walk around a hospital, there's a real difference between the pain experienced in a maternity ward to the pain that's experienced in an oncology ward. Both are painful, but in the maternity ward, there is that sense of hope and life that is coming. There's pain twinged with hope. And the Bible says, yes, our world is chaotically suffering, and yet it's suffering that is tinged with hope, because the Bible says this is not the way it's always going to be. And into the midst of all of that, as we've been saying this week, we have a God who's come to suffer with us and experience the chaos, the brokenness, who suffers with us and suffers for us. And so if I want to know whether God cares, I don't look at the circumstances of my life, because the answer to that question would change from day to day and maybe even hour to hour. If I want to answer that question, I need to look at Jesus, I need to look at the cross. And that doesn't change. And that tells me, yes, there is a God who loved me enough to do that for me. And I'll hold on to that.